it's weird with the Corey Trice thing. The Will Howard thing is weird in its own capacity, but you could sit here and talk quarterback and need for it and how urgent it needs to be. The Corey Trice thing is, I mean, he was supposed to be back. We are supposed to see more Corey Trice on the field than we are seeing right now. Dante Kemp, Malik Harrison, all those guys that are also active or ready to be active, not playing, but I think in a less surprise way. I mean, it's Wednesday. We're here. It's not going to happen this week. Are you stunned that neither of these guys are playing?
I am surprised. I am. I'll go as far as to say that I am a little bit stunned. I really did feel like, Will Howard, I guess not so much so, but Corey Trice, I think, has just been progressing so much so and seems to be a necessary part of what the Steelers want to do moving forward, or at least through this like intermediate part of their schedule. So it is strange to see that they haven't really ramped him up further. But that being said, like, do you feel that they are going to be, missing out severely because of it? I don't really think so. I think it would be nice to have Corey Trice back and another healthy player in the secondary, especially, as the Jalen Ramsey injury absence continues to be filled. But with Joey Porter Jr. coming back, that kind of lessens that need to have the next man up mentality. So, unless you feel otherwise, like, while I am stunned and surprised that he hasn't progressed further up until this point, I don't feel discouraged by that reality setting in.
No, I mean, the Will Howard thing, I get. I look at it and say, I still can't get a grip on if the Pittsburgh Steelers want him to be out there, don't want him to be out there, if he just wants to be out there, but the Steelers don't want him to be out there. I have no idea. With Corey Trice, I look at it and go, this is Corey Trice's last shot. This is it. This is do or die for Corey Trice. You got this season to prove that you are a good player. Otherwise, next year, they're going to find a replacement. You're not going to get cut before the season starts or before training camp starts. You're just going to get replaced. They're just going to find somebody else, that next young guy, to come in here and be Corey Trice. That's what's going to happen. And to not be maybe healthy enough to be on the field is super concerning. To not want him on the field is equally as concerning. I just look at it and say, the longer we push this thing out, the longer Corey is not open for that practice window, the longer that the Steelers are waiting the 21 days, because they're going to wait most of the 21 days to put Corey Trice back on the active roster. The longer we have to wait for that, the longer this becomes, or the closer this becomes to Corey Trice isn't going to get any shot whatsoever, and they're going to stick with James Pierre, and they're going to stick with Brandon Eccles, and they're going to be totally fine with the package and the guys that they have, and they're going to be ready to move on. And again, we're getting like, this is the last ride for Corey Trice to figure this thing out. And I don't know if the Steelers actually want him out there, which is very concerning. Will Howard, again, I bet you that they want him out there, but maybe they don't want him out there bad enough to say Isaiah Loudermilk's probably got to come back. Malik Harrison's got to come back. Corey Trice is probably going to come back. That's 3 of your 8, and it's week 6. There are going to be other injuries. You're going to have to put other guys on IR. You're going to have to figure other things out. I just don't. I'm concerned. Do you think that there's a real possibility that Corey actually doesn't come off IR this season?
Yes, absolutely. And I think you were walking right down that road into why. Like, there are more important pieces that they have to sort of protect and maybe come back. And when you only have so many designations to return from injured reserve and so many slots to work with, they've been so beaten up already. This defense, they've been battered and bruised through, the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. It's probably going to continue. And I guess right now, whenever Corey Trice is not contributing, has not shown that he can be a long-term contributor to the team as much as we want him to be, and as much as the coaching staff would hope that that potential would turn out to be. He's just not turning out to be that right now. Can't get him on the field. So why waste, this IR slot and rushing him back onto the field whenever it's entirely possible that a starter on defense might go down again in a couple of weeks. And it's entirely possible that, like you mentioned, Malik Harrison's ready to come back soon, or that any other piece down the line gets affected or injured, I'd rather have the opportunity and space to pivot to have other options than make sure Corey Trice, who is on his last leg here, makes sure he returns. I don't know.
Yeah. No. You're 100% right. I mean, it doesn't even have to be defense. You know what I mean? Calvin Austin's got to end up on IR. That's another guy that you need to bring back. Jalen Ramsey ends up on IR. That's another guy that you got to bring back. Anybody at all on the defensive or the offensive side of the football ends up on IR. They immediately have, if they're a starter, they immediately have more impact than Corey. Corey's the 5th corner on the roster. He's the 5th guy. He is James Pierre's replacement. That's not saying much. Like, that's not a spot that the Steelers are desperate to go out and replace and fill. Like, it's just not. I think there's a real possibility. And I honestly, I think there's a real possibility that we have seen the end of Corey Trice with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is nuts to think about. But I think that possibility is definitely there. And then when it comes again to Will Howard one more time, do you think that he comes back? What's your thoughts on it? Do you think that he's any closer than Corey to coming back? Would you be surprised if Will got activated before Corey?
Not right now. I mean, right now there is, to me, a more tangible hole at QB3 than there is cornerback 5 or defensive back, 7, 8, 9 that gets carried on the roster, right? Like, they seem to have those guys in place even as injuries have been beating them up. It's not really as secure. Logan Woodside's in practice working the third team reps. He's working the scout team stuff. I think I would rather have Will Howard in there, if I'm the coaching staff. And I think if he has healed and reports, as a couple of weeks ago, or that he's been progressing very well and is healthy. So I think it would be maybe ideal and maybe more logical at this point to assume that Will Howard gets activated first if either of them are to be activated anytime soon.